All right, you are in for a special treat today. Back to back, what's going on with Lady D and Sir John right here on KAZ Radio. Unprecedented, two shows in the same day. How you doing, John? John, I didn't hear you. What did you say? How you doing?
Fair to Midland.
Fair to Midland. All right, how you doing, Lady D?
I'm doing just awesome.
Take it away, John.
Alrighty. So back-to-back shows, here we go. We got some wonderful people here today. We got Mr. Gary Sardon, who's running for the seat of Ward 6. And we also got Tawayne McGee, a songwriter. And what else do you do?
Well, I'm an entertainer all around. So.
Oh, so like Cedric the Entertainer.
Oh, yeah, you got your
All right. Yeah, we got him here today. We're going to start off with Tawayne, like Mark Twain. So that's telling you right there, you got stories. You got something to tell us. And then we'll go right into Mr. Sardon, and he can explain why the citizens of Ward 6 should choose him coming September.
That's right.
All right. Twain?
Yes, sir.
So what got you into songwriting or being an entertainer?
I always wanted to be an entertainer ever since I was a kid. I grew up in church with my father and my grandfather being two generations of deacons.
Oh, okay.
So singing in the choir, hearing the choir sing, and it inspired me to want to be an entertainer as well.
Okay. All right. So you mentioned that your father, two generation deacons. Tell us a little bit more about that, or more about yourself.
Well, my name is Tawayne McGee. I'm 22 years old. I'm born and raised in Cleveland, Ohio, and I'm a proud alumnus of the Git Academy, class of 2014.
Oh, okay. I'm impressed.
Well,
Yeah.
Thank you.
Good to have one of his students on our show.
Thank you very
Okay,
much.
we had Ted Gett on a while ago.
Oh, yeah, proud mentor.
Yes.
Oh, yeah. Plus, I went there for 2 years, my senior and junior year.
Okay.
At that time, it was kind of a hard development going from a boys and girls school to an all boys high school.
Right.
But my grandmother and my mother pushed me. They said, your academics is okay, but you can do better.
Right.
So, and plus, Git Academy was known for its top academics as well as its football team.
Right.
Now, at that time, I passed my football long-going career. I didn't want to be a football player, but I knew I wanted to be an entertainer. So, Mr. Gann, he was very inspirational for me for that, and I like to thank Mr. Ted Gann Sr. for giving me inspiration as well as good mentorship.
Okay. Yeah, because he knows a lot.
Yes, sir.
Yes. Mr. Ginn he's really put out some really wonderful young men coming out of that school. And this will be my first time actually being able to speak to someone who has attended the school.
Right.
Let's talk about the school.
Well,
Tell me what was
The difference.
the difference between going to that school, because see, I went
And
to an
where you came
all-girls
from.
school when I was in senior high school. I went to Jane Addams Vocational. So at that time, Jane Addams was an all-girls school. And at that time, we also had Max Hayes, which was an all-boys school. But this school here that you were attending, what's the difference, and what was the benefits of it for you?
Well, the benefits for me was that, coming from a 10th grader from Collarwood High School, railroad is land, and going into Git Academy, which is also tied up with Glenville, so top numbers,
Right.
The Dolphins of Miami.
Right.
Plus, I believe Ted Ginn Sr., the reason why he named it Miami, the Dolphin, as his mascot was because his son Ted Ginn Jr., his first team was actually with the Miami Dolphins.
Yeah.
So it was great inspiration for the mascot of the Dolphins.
Okay.
But for me, going in from a boys and girls school to all boys high school was that, I was always, I mean, what young man is not, don't like girls.
Yeah.
You know? I'm like, because it's like you're growing into a teenager.
Right.
Teenage years come, you start liking girls. You go on dates, and next thing you know, you become a man.
Exactly.
But going to all boys school, I mean, well, I figured.
Less distractions.
Yes, less distractions. But I was still young at the time. But I was like, oh man, there's no girls. But as I grew older, it wasn't all about social life is a part of growing up, but it's about your academics too. You want to go to college, you want to have a career, you want to succeed in life, you want everything that the American dream has to offer.
Right.
Yeah, that's why so many people from different countries come to America, because it's known as the land of opportunity. Based on the presidency, I'm not sure how that's going to last long any longer, but it's still known as the land of opportunity so far. And I'm happy that America is willing to share its multiple opportunities with people from different countries.
To come here and find their dream.
Yeah.
And it sounds like that going to TED school, he opened up your eyes to those things, how to go about getting those opportunities, and you young men that get that education, set a goal plan, and to reach for whatever you're dreaming of.
Yeah, scholarship, leadership, and service.
So, as a songwriter and as an entertainer, what have you been doing?
Well, I performed stand-up comedy for the first time back in February.
All right.
Yeah, it was. I was pretty nervous, but I was very excited. So it was like a mixed feeling indeed.
Yeah.
People say, when I'm off stage, people say you can carry a tune, you're a very people person, and you tell good jokes. Sometimes it just comes out. I can be talking, it just comes out.
It's a natural thing for you, huh?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, it's a natural thing, but it's like when I'm on stage, it's like the spotlight is on me.
Right.
It's like but you're not used to that feeling.
Right.
But the many times you perform, the many times you become a natural.
All right.
And it's like the stage is on you. You own the stage. You own the microphone as well too. And you're there for the people. You're there to entertain the people. And that's what I love. No matter if it's stand-up comedy, no matter if it's poetry, no matter if it's in acting in movies, or even theater, which I have not done theater, but I do plan on to someday.
All right. And this is a place to start. We'll be planning on theater. Cleveland, outside of New York, I think we have the best theater district in America.
Oh, there you go. Plus the great alumnus from Cleveland, Halle Berry, Bill Cobbs, Hugh Carey, Steve Harvey, who was a fellow Glenville tabletter like me. There you go. And sure, and one of my favorite comedians besides from Steve Harvey, I like Bernie Mac. Who you with? God bless Bernie Mac. But Cleveland is known for many people who got their start. Caramel House, Bill Cobbs, Ruby Dee, so many great people. Tom Hanks, who did the Cleveland Playhouse.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, he did that. He was an intern while doing that.
Yeah, he was.
Yeah, and it's known for many things besides from 2016 championship against Gold Cavs, though, for real. But
right.
Yeah.
Right.
The Indians made it to the World Series. We didn't win, but I was just happy.
We gotta take a chance. We might.
Okay.
We like to see.
Okay. There you go. He said it better than me, so there you go. Sure,
Still believe.
Yeah, hey, we in Believe land, right?
That's right.
There you go. So
Well, we make it happen because we were just talking in our previous show, all the wonderful talent that we have here in the city of Cleveland,
and it's amazing.
It is, and I am so proud that you are getting out here, finding what your talent is and what you're gifted at. So.
Hey, I just wanted you to know that there's someone in the studio. You can't see her because she's interning right now.
Okay, yes.
But she also belongs to a great band called 147.
Oh, wow.
And she's one of their head singers. So, we got a lot of talent.
Yes, we do. We got talent all in this house.
That's right.
Okay.
Amen.
Okay. So that is just amazing. Now, tell me, I see that you're into modeling. Out of all this many talents you have,
It's the entertainer.
which one do you want to really have?
Well, out of all the
Or you want to be like Cedric, just all over?
I just want to be all over. I mean,
Okay.
you go from the Grammy to the Oscar. I mean,
Right.
Will Smith, he got the Grammy Grammys, he got the Oscar nominations. I mean, Jamie Foxx, he got both. So there you go. Plus, he's also doing radio too. So if he can do it,
he's a singer and a model, and he started off as a model too, and all that.
Oh yeah, blame it on the alcohol, baby.
Lord have mercy.
And besides from entertainment, also I'm a big fan of politics as well too. That's why I'm also happy to sit with Mr. Sardon. Mr. Gary Sardon, who's one of his
I see he's taking
Stop
over
hitting my
the show.
table, though,
Stop
okay?
hitting my table.
We gonna cut your hands off, okay? What I'm saying?
Oh, I got too excited.
That's right. I mean,
Well, that's so good that you are so well-rounded.
Oh yes, ma'am.
Because, it's good to be well-rounded because in that way you can have more opinions, too.
Well, more opportunities.
And, yes, a lot of opportunity.
Yeah. It's all about opportunities and take those opportunities that Christ gives us and expounding them. And now you mentioned politics.
Oh, yes.
Before we move on to Mr. Sardon.
Yeah.
So what is your view about Mr. Trump?
Well,
Why would you go there? Why would you?
Why do we have to bring 45 up today?
This is a family show.
This is about Cleveland and what's going on. And what's going on.
We have a politician here. We do have the right to free speech. So, using that, I shall say this: I never met Trump in my life. Most likely, I probably wouldn't want to. but based on everything that's happening inside the world, plus what's happening down in Virginia, that I mean, it's too painful to even talk about.
Yeah.
But me as an African American man, especially as a young African American man, we get angry most likely based on stuff like this. We see this stuff, we get angry. Like they say, let them come down here to Cleveland with that stuff. Let them come down here. We can start the KKK versus the Black Panther Party. What you gonna do? But remind me of Glenville riots and the Huff riots.
Yeah, but we really don't want to promote violence because
Right.
it's all about love.
It's
Yeah,
all
because
about
I've seen
love.
people talk about let them come to Chicago. Okay, come to the south side of Chicago. Okay,
But you know what? You say that, and
Yes.
that's one of the things that I was listening to NBC this week.
Okay.
And they had a second half when they were talking about from a young gentleman who's from Antifa and another guy, from coming up from the civil rights movement. I think what people don't understand, there's a difference. And people, for instance, Antifa, a lot of people think this is a liberal left wing. No, Antifa has been around since Adolf Hitler. They were the group that really woke up and started telling people about the world about fascism. Mm-hmm. They're always been here. So, to let people know that, we can't allow hate. Sometimes, yes, you can't. You have to turn the other cheek.
True.
But if we're going to have another 1.2 million people gas, then you got to make a stand somewhere.
Yes.
And so that's what Antifa's saying. You cannot allow fascism. This is a republic, but we're a democratic republic with many different cultures and people. And once fascism gets a hold, it's very hard to stop it from going. And people need to just wake up. And yes, no, it doesn't have to be violent, but you can do what they did in Boston. Mm-hmm. Show up and say you're not on our streets.
No, it's all right.
Yeah.
And that speaks volumes.
Mm-hmm.
Because you have to take action.
Okay.
Okay, come on with it, Larry, because I know
about this political thing. About to get Mr. Sardon on in a second, but I gotta say something.
Come on, Larry.
All right. Have anyone ever heard of the cliche? It takes two to tango.
Yes.
Yes, it does.
Okay. It takes two to tango.
And it takes two to tango, one not to do anything, and then you have seek help.
Okay.
What happened in Germany?
So, and that's right. So when Donald Trump made a statement about both parties were at fault.
Both parties were at fault.
Everybody goes crazy and mad because he makes this statement.
No, that's the way he made that
No,
statement.
it was spin. You didn't catch the spin.
I didn't. It's not the spin. I listened to him before the spin.
Let me say the day before he said
the spin.
White supremacy and KKK is not a part of this country, shouldn't be a part of this country, and he has don't want
No.
no.
That's not what he did.
Yes,
That's not
did.
what he
Yes,
said in the
did,
beginning.
John.
No, he did not.
I said
you
before
didn't.
he
He didn't say that.
No,
he said before that. He said both parties. He mentioned it. He didn't even mention KKK in that beginning.
Right,
he didn't
right.
say white
I know
supremacy.
this first
He didn't
time.
say that. I'm talking about the first time.
Okay.
And the first time is
We're going off
if
the
you're going
air.
to be the president, you have to be moral. You don't allow a lady whose daughter died be the moral barometer.
No,
And
John,
thank
but my
you
point-
for her standing up and being that moral barometer
But my
for
point,
this country.
the point is this, John.
He was not. He didn't do
If
his
you
job.
don't give those fools any energy, let them walk down the street, talk that mess.
No.
John,
We have not done that for years.
But
We for that years
they're
not giving them
nothing.
energy.
they're nothing.
We don't
Yes,
need to
they're
have it
not
going
nothing
on now.
because they're the ones who got him into office. We're
No,
the one
they
who has
didn't,
infiltrated.
John.
It's been
John,
from
they
the
didn't.
80s when David
John,
Duke sat there and
John,
said it.
John,
The new KK will
All right.
blend in. The
All
new
right.
KK will take over.
If I can
All right,
interject,
just,
Go ahead,
come on,
just
Mr. Sardon.
one quick point about that. Our president should be the moral barometer of our country. He has an obligation
Yes.
to stand up and denounce racism.
Okay.
We all know it exists.
That's
and
racism.
It existed since the beginning of time, and it probably will always be a part of who we are.
Yes.
But as a free nation, a nation of laws, a free democracy, the leader has to stand up against that. Now, during his campaign, he said he didn't know who David Duke was. Come on,
Right.
who doesn't know who that is? But let's give him the benefit of the doubt. He didn't know at that time, but he certainly knew now when this incident occurred. So immediately he should have stepped up and denounced what happened, because that group just, their mission, they know that it's not America.
I think this is the
Gary,
problem
hold on.
here.
See, here's the problem I have. We don't blame the media for this crap. When President Obama refused to say Islamic terrorists, okay? No.
No. It's not
He-
even refused to say Islamic terrorists.
He would not
because
say it.
No, because he was pinpointing exactly what he said. Fundamentalism, Islamic people, and then he put it in that term. That it's not everybody in Islam or a terrorist. He made a point to say who it exactly are. Same thing if you're going to say about, we could talk about the IRA, for example. Not all Irishmen or Irish Catholics want to blow up Protestants. So they make a point to say the IRA, not
Let me
blanketing
tell
a
you something.
whole religion.
If black folks don't remember their history and they forget
What
their
do you mean?
history, it'll repeat again.
Repeat.
So tear
So
down
let
all
it
those
down.
statues and
No,
all that
it's
stuff.
wrong.
Need to stay up.
No, it don't. They need to be torn down.
Remind you of
They
where
need
you
to be
came
torn
from.
down. We just built a pipeline through a burial ground of the Indians. What about their history?
You
What
put gas in
about
your car?
they were
Are
here
you
first.
putting gas in your car? Stop putting gas in your car.
Go.
Say,
Put
I'm not
gas
going
in
to
the
put
car.
more gas in my
The
car
pipeline
because
doesn't-
we want a pipeline.
No, it isn't.
through- I mean,
Because that pipeline is going to ruin the water. One, it's not going to make your
Don't
gas
buy the
cheaper.
gas.
It's
Don't
not
buy the
going to make your
gas.
gas cheaper because you're still going to be going down to Texas, getting on a boat, coming up to New Jersey.
Welcome.
So that doesn't
Gary,
change
we
that.
want to welcome you.
Gary, welcome to our show.
show.
Okay? So now here it is. This is
I
what's
was just
going
getting
on.
I was just going to eat
Now-
toward the door.
No, Gary. Yes, we want to hear about what you're going to do for war sake.
Okay, let's talk about you, Gary.
Let's talk about war.
We don't care nothing about what's happening right now, even though it is important.
we do care
but
about
we
it.
do care.
Yeah.
Okay, it has its place.
Yes, it
but
does.
you have your place too.
Okay.
All right.
So, Gary, introduce yourself. Let us know why you want to be
Let's see.
Councilman of Ward 6.
Okay. Well, first I'd like to thank you guys, but secondly I'd like to just mention as a sidebar that me and Mr. McGee have a couple of things in common.
Okay.
One I went to a all-boys school as well.
Did you? Okay.
I went to Benedictine.
Oh,
I didn't graduate from Benedictine because I just wanted to be around the girls. so I'm just being honest. I'm keeping it real since we're brother. I said I had to get out of here, but I've regretted it for most of my life because the quality of education was really good there. Another thing that we have in common is he's a model, and I never was a model, but people tell me I should have been.
Okay. Aw, see there.
Okay, that's good. A politician with ego. That's a good thing. Charisma. We need that.
Well, you need to have a little ego.
That's right. Confidence in
just,
yourself. That's
just
right.
to go through some of the things we have to go
Yeah.
through on the
Love it.
campaign trail.
Yes.
Love it.
But a little about myself. I'm actually a 40-plus year member of this community.
Wow.
And not just a resident. I'm a homeowner and a business owner in Ward 6. So I've been a part of this community. I'm a stakeholder. I'm a vested member of this community.
Right.
In addition to that, I've worked on many organizations that their sole mission was to strengthen our communities. So in our community, we have a number of challenges in Ward 6. A lot of them are things that we should celebrate. We have many institutions. We have the Cleveland Clinic, University Hospital, Case Western Reserve. These are world-class facilities, and they're doing a wonderful job in our community. But there's also another part of Ward 6 that we don't talk about as often, and that's the part where we see abandoned homes. Every 2 or 3 houses, you're walking by an abandoned home. We don't talk about the crime that exists in our neighborhood, partly because of those abandoned homes. We don't talk about the drug activity and the gang activity and the hopelessness that so many of the members of our community share because of that. I mean, if you think about it, when you wake up every morning, when you step out of your house, you're in fear because of the young people running up and down the street. You have no hope because the home that you thought would have, value to it has minimal value to it. And we also are watching our neighborhoods being taken over by these institutions. And I don't necessarily blame institutions for wanting to expand because that's what businesses do.
Right.
All businesses, if they're thinking about growth, they're thinking about what can I add to my operation to make it not just bigger but better.
Right.
So I don't blame them for that. But I'm probably the oldest person here.
Oh, now.
Larry's shaking his head, but I doubt it. But I remember Ward 6 40 years ago. I remember our community had many grocery stores, dry cleaners. We had restaurants and bars and parks, and we had a local economy that gave our community wealth.
Right.
You look at a University Circle, which is applauded all the time now, but you think about what University Circle, a portion of it, we owned much of that property through our businesses years ago. The area around 105th, where the clinic operates and where they're currently building an IBM. We own much of that. We had bars and other facilities there. So, and I can guarantee you that the people that either lost those businesses and homes and apartment buildings or sold them, they were not enriching by turning that over to these major institutions. So what I'm running on is trying to rebuild our community. If you've gone down some of these neighborhoods, you'll see beautiful, majestic homes. Some of them, a lot of them are obviously in disrepair, but these are homes that were built when people
Million
put a
Dollar
lot
Roll.
into construction.
Yeah.
You know, they were just
The artwork,
beautiful.
the
The art,
handwork,
yes,
you know,
yes,
the
yes.
wood.
And it almost brings tears to my eyes when I look at some of these homes. The condition that they're in today is just very, very sad. And a lot of my opponents and members of the city in general, their solution is tear down those houses, tear those abandoned houses down. But that's not a solution either. We need to, first of all, not allow these homes to sit in a state of disrepair for 10, 15 years and more. We need to take control of them a lot sooner and then begin to rehab these homes. That can also help provide jobs and income for young people. Mm-hmm. And then we also will have a family move into these homes. So we're also going to stimulate the growth of our neighborhood.
Now, your ward is one of the biggest wards, in a sense, from where it stretches from, and one of the most multicultural.
Right.
Before you
How
say
do
that,
you
John,
think-
can I ask, where does your ward begin and end?
Okay, it depends on who you're talking to.
Right.
You're talking to me, obviously, I'm going to answer that.
Mhm.
But if you're talking to a number of the residents, it starts on the corner of the street they live and it ends at their home. That's their ward. And we have to make sure that people that are struggling in our community have an opportunity to have hope. But the geography of our ward, the Fairfax community of Cleveland, which encompasses
Excuse me.
part of Central, Quincy, Cedar, Euclid, over the part of Carnegie, typically down to about 79th Street.
Okay.
It goes over the University Circle, down Murray Hill or up Murray Hill. Also, Larchmere is part of the community, part of Fair Hill, going down MLK and 116th Street over to Buckeye.
Oh, wow,
The
they
Buckeye
really have a
Plaza,
nice
which
spread.
you know, that's part of the Ward 6. And if you go east on Buckeye, all of the houses on the same side of the street as the plaza, that's part of Ward 6.
Okay.
So, far as geography, Ward 6 is a huge ward. In terms of number of residents, it's probably about the same. All the wards have about 25,000 members. So, but our ward is definitely the most diverse ward. And people, when they talk about diversity, they think black and white. But Ward 6 is much more. First of all, because of the clinic, you have people from all over the world in our ward every single day.
Yes.
You think about the large hotel, the Intercontinental Hotel. They just recently built a hotel on Euclid Avenue, Holiday Inn.
Yeah.
And they're proposing another hotel over there by the CVS on 79th and Euclid. Now you think, God, who's going to stay in all these hotels? Well, I drive by the Holiday Inn on Euclid every single day, and they're packed. They're busy all of the time. But again, these are people
Coming in and
from
out of
not
the
just
country.
other cities, but all over the world. So, matter of fact, we have a supermarket, an Arabone supermarket in our neighborhood on 83rd and Carnegie. And I used to wonder, gosh, I never hardly see customers in there. But I had an opportunity to speak to one of the owners, and he shared with me that a lot of their business comes from people that are visiting the clinic from other countries. So that kind of gives us an idea of what Ward 6 is like. Now, when I think of the diversity in Ward 6, I obviously think of the black and white, but I also think about the cultural differences, the number of people that we have that are currently living here, Asians, Indians, that work at the hospital, that have they're staying here on a visa, a work visa, that occupy many homes in our community. And also we have to talk about the diversity in types of businesses. We have very, very small mom and pop businesses, all the way up to businesses like the clinic, which employs thousands. We also have diversity in terms of economics. We have people that are barely getting by, and we have people that are multimillionaires in our community. So the challenge, as I see it, is how do we bring that diversity together without hurting a segment of our population?
Okay, I got a question for you.
Sure.
You are running against 8 other individuals.
Yes, I am.
8, and is the current council person also running?
Yes, he is.
Okay. What is going to set you apart from the race?
Okay. But first, I like to just say that I'm not running against anybody. I'm running for the job of council in Ward 6. I can't even tell you everything that they care about. I've been with them. I think they're wonderful people. I think that they are very impressive young people. But what distinguishes me, first of all, like I said earlier, I'm part of this community.
Well, aren't they all a part of the community?
No, they're not. No, they're not.
So they're running.
You
for
have
something they don't live.
one member of one person that's running that lives just outside of the ward.
Correct.
You have another who's been accused of living in another city, but I don't want to say that he does because I don't know, and personally I really don't care. But we have, matter of fact, a couple of them are accused of living outside of the city.
So shouldn't that disqualify him?
It should if it's proven, but sometimes people are able to get an address either through their parents' home or a girlfriend's home and show that they have residency. The last forum that I spoke at, about half of the people that are running don't even have a decent voting record. They have not even voted. They have maybe a 25 to 50% voting record. So where's the commitment? Well, I am committed, and I've put my money, first of all, where my mouth is. Like I said, I have a substantial investment in my home and in my business where I've been over 40 years.
What's your
What's
business?
your business?
I own a beverage store in Cleveland. It's called Jean's Beverage. It's on 89th and Cedar, right across from Boyd's and Antioch Church.
Okay.
And
Oh, yeah.
I'm sure that in this room at least one,
Yeah,
two, three,
well,
four,
we
at least
rolled by,
three of you have been
Wait,
there.
Wait, hold on.
My aunt's go.
This
from
is
my
a
house.
phenomenon. Wait, this is a phenomenon. Are you an Arab?
I am not. I am not.
Praise the Lord. Ladies and gentlemen, we have a black man that actually owns a beverage store in the city of Cleveland that's not of another persuasion. like
Culture.
Culture.
And has
That's
been there
awesome.
for a long time.
That, you got my boy. Is Lamontier one of the streets that you know?
Unfortunately, it's not.
I got a
Just
house in
outside the
Lamontier.
war.
Man,
Well,
that is awesome. I mean, that right there, I would vote for you, right? Just on that alone. That dedication, that not selling out. Having a beverage store right there on 89th and Cedar. That right there tells me a whole lot about this man right here. Vote for this man. KAZ is endorsing Gary. I don't bring nobody else from Zone
Yes, sir.
6.
Yes, sir.
Ward.
Ward 6.
Ward 6.
Ward, don't bring
Ward
them.
6.
Don't bring them.
Don't
Gary
bring 'em.
Sardon has our endorsement.
All right. There
No
it
doubt.
is.
That is
Okay.
it.
In all sincerity, if I can say, people sometimes discount the importance of that. And I'm going to tell you one of the things that I really care about, the fact that in our community we have so many young people, a lot of kids that walk into our store, and I think it's extremely important that when they walk in there, that they see somebody that looks like them. A number of our children, they don't even know that they can own a store. They think that store owners are Arab. And that's something that they don't even think about as being a potential for their future. But when they see my young people working and waiting on them, they begin to realize that, oh, there's something else that I can potentially do in my life.
I can be a business owner.
Yes.
Man, that is so important. That
It is. You know
so
what?
important.
When I was a young lady, a young girl growing up, my first job was at the corner store. Richard gave me my first job working in his store. And in fact, Richard used to give all the kids in the neighborhood a little job in his store.
Yeah. So
You know, because we spent a lot of money in his store buying candy. And when I grew up and got a little older, Richard owned a barber shop. And Richard said I could come and work in his barber shop. And he says, I'm going to give you your own stand. You're going to do nails, clean these old men raggedy nails up, slap some grease on them and charge them.
Right.
And I'm going to charge you for your stand. And you pay me every week for your stand and make your hustle, girl. And I did.
And that taught you business.
And that taught me business.
Right.
Yes. And I appreciate that.
That is awesome.
Yes.
Absolutely awesome.
Some more.
Well,
let them know.
well, just to expand on the young people, since we're speaking of young people now, it's really sad that most of the young people that come to me have no job skills at all. Their math skills are below par. Their writing, their reading, they can't write checks. They have very little skills. And I've spent all of my time developing my employees to the point where today my employees can run every function in my business.
How many employees do you have?
At any given time, from 6 to 8 people.
Okay.
I'm open 24 hours a day, 7 days a week.
Are these the employees there, or do they live in the neighborhood?
Absolutely. They don't all necessarily live in Ward 6.
Right.
Some of them live a little outside of the ward, but
That's
all
fine.
of them in the basic neighborhood. But things like ordering my inventory, making the schedule, paying my bills, keeping up with the paperwork, banking, they've learned all of these skills.
That is awesome.
Which means when they leave my employment, they can go somewhere else and work because they have something that they can say that they know how to do.
Yes.
And they do it well. As a matter of fact, I have one young lady that right now wants to open up her own business.
Excellent.
She's not ready.
Right.
And I tell her, you're not ready yet. Let's go over a few other things. But just the fact that you have a person that was unemployable 3 years ago that now is ready to step out and own her business, I think that's an accomplishment for her.
Yeah.
And it says a lot
So
for you,
what
too.
what different would you do for 6 that their current council member
It's not doing.
is not doing? Mr. Blanker.
You mean what would I do besides? No, I'm not gonna say that.
Hey, it's an open forum.
I'm not gonna be mean because I know of our current councilman and I think he's a nice guy. But the reality is, he was appointed, and he was appointed too close to the current election for them to have called a special election. City Hall knew for months and months and months, actually probably
That made me
a
remind
couple
you
of
which
years
one
that
was
she
that.
was not going to fulfill her term. But they kept her propped up in a position primarily for the Q vote. But Ward 6 accounts for a huge amount of the city's income through payroll taxes because of those large institutions. And they feel, obviously, that it's important that they know who's in that position. So they've always appointed someone. Matter of fact, our last several council people have been appointed.
Correct. I was gonna ask you
Blaine
about
was
that.
appointed, and by
Mamie.
Mamie was appointed by Pat. Pat was appointed by oh God, I can't think of his name. I can't think of his name. But he served one term, and before that,
I just
Miss
forgot.
Woods. They were all appointed. So I'm not going to say that some of them didn't do a good job, because some of them, I think, did a good job in a lot of ways. But one of the things that always happens in our community in Ward 6, but not just a Ward 6 phenomenon, it's all over the country, that the people with the least income typically have the least or the lowest voice, so they typically have things brought into their community and that that doesn't necessarily benefit them. And I'm just gonna again, right now, if you think about this, we talked about these beautiful homes in our community. In our community, these homes were built at the turn of the century. Now, a lot of people that live in these homes today are second and third generation. So the original family member that purchased that home right at around the Great Depression. Just post Great Depression, they purchased these homes. Now, think about what the country was like then. People were afraid, but they were told and they were given a promise: if you buy this house, you make your payments every single month on time. At the end of that 30 years, you're going to own that house outright, and you're going to have something that's really worth something. And if you will it to your children, they're going to have a home where they have no mortgage, and it's going to be worth a lot of money. Well, somewhere along the way, that promise was not kept. Our homes in our community today are worth in a lot of cases, no more than they were when they were originally purchased. So if you made a similar investment in another community, your home may be worth $150,000 today for a similar home, maybe more. In our community, maybe more, but I'm trying to be conservative. But in our community, a number of these homes were sold for $5,000, $10,000. So what we are doing right now is we are being witnesses, and we don't recognize this, but we're sitting in the stands and we're witnessing the greatest transfer of wealth that we're going to see. We've already seen part of it, because a lot of Ward 6 used to be, the clinic and the UH used to be owned by us.
Right.
And now that transfer of wealth is continuing out of our hands into the hands of investors, which ultimately going to end up in the hands of institutions that are going to make millions, if not billions of dollars, operating where we should have control over our neighborhoods. And I can tell you, and I think you already know, that this would not happen in other communities. It would not.
And you know what? And I know we got Tawayne over there. We're gonna get you in the conversation, Tawayne. Feel
Yes.
free to come anytime.
Yes.
But you
Jump
know,
in there.
but you know what, man? See, the church. Yeah, you just said something that I'm about to knock all these pastors upside the head with. They go around here telling folk, man, the greatest transfer of wealth is going to happen, from the hands of the wicked into the hands of the righteous. You just got done saying, black man, to black people that are listening, okay? Your wealth has been transferred into the hands of the other people forever.
Yes.
When are y'all going to wake up and stop transferring your money into the hands of others and start transferring your money into yourselves and into your families? See, that's one thing that irks me about religion. Even though I'm a pastor, it irks me about it, because telling people that this great transfer is going to happen where the wealth of the wicked is going to turn over to the righteous, well, then y'all must be the wicked, because your money is being transferred to the white man every day of the week.
Yeah.
Every day of the week. And that, man, I'm telling you, boy, you're talking about some stuff, man. You just don't know what you're hitting on. You got my vote if I was in that ward. What's going on, Tawayne, man? I'm sorry to leave you out of the conversation. Any questions for the councilman?
Yes. What are your concerns?
Oh, my concerns, well, considering that politics is my second thing to do.
Well, hopefully, if I'm elected, you can come work in my administration.
Oh, you know what?
There you
I
go.
guess every politician needs an entertainment friend, so I'm always happy.
Well, we need good people, and I know that you're a good person.
Oh, yeah, well, thank you, sir. All right. Plus, a nice beard, man.
Oh, thank you.
But one thing about politics nowadays is that they're grooming a lot of young people to take over nowadays. And now for me, I'm a big fan of politics. I didn't start getting into politics until the RNC came to town.
Okay.
And I was like, I'm not a Republican, but I can mingle and talk to the people. I'm like, there's Tamron Hall right there, there's Al Roker right there, there's Don King, who's still funny to me still to this day. But it was nice talking with them to get their opinions. And plus, me as a middle class person, I'm not rich. I'm not not famous, not yet, but just by talking to middle class people such as myself and higher class people, they do have their different opinions, but they also do have similar things in common. They all work, even though it's for different wages, but they all know the value of hard work, no matter if it's a person on the radio or if it's a person delivering the newspaper, or no matter even going from the small job to the big job. Right. We all know the value of hard work, even from chopping trees to pushing pen and paper, but we all know the value of hard work. And Mr. Gary right here, he's putting a lot of hard work in this campaign, as well as, being an elected official. Because it's hard, though, especially putting your name out there, especially if people don't know you. Right. And I look at the mayor race, Mayor Frank Jackson. He's been the mayor since I was a kid. I mean, I took pictures with the man. I met the guy. And then you also have Jeff Johnson. I'm very familiar with Jeff Johnson. He graduated from college. Yeah, he graduated from Collarwood High School. So, yeah, I know the railroaders. He lives in the Glenville community. We just had the Glenville Festival on the 12th. So, yeah, that was a big.
But as a young man, what is it that you would like to see out of the councilman?
Well, some people say they would like to see change.
What type of change? Because everyone wants to say they want security, protection. But what else?
Well, based on the neighborhoods, I grew up in the Glenville community. That is mine. So, Kevin Conwell and Jeff Johnson, because currently up for seat at the moment, there's a lot of potholes in the middle of the Glenville streets, especially going down 105 though. They need to be fixed. You have houses that are still up there abandoned. You can rehab them up. You can sell them properties as well too. Make some money off them though. But there's a lot of land out there that needs to be do something with it.
Right. So we're just going back to what he was saying, about taking those homes and rehabbing them. But also, do you think, Gary, that some of them need to be demolished and it can be done as a community garden kind of thing or something like that, but it should be some kind of a board maybe to make these determinations?
Well, some of them do need to be torn down. That's absolutely true. But the reality is, if you let a home sit out there for 20 years, it will need to be
20
torn
plus
down.
years. Some of them have them.
But I don't think that should happen. I think if we do want to have land for like for gardens or
urban farming,
right? There's certainly plenty of areas now that can be done, but the reality is we should be able to put our young people to work rehabbing some of these houses, and my opposition will tell you that, well, there's many reasons that these houses are not rehabbed because we can't get title of them or something of that nature. Mm-hmm. That's why they sit abandoned for 20 years. But you tell me why, when they're ready to start a project like Opportunity Corridor, how like magic, they got possession of all the houses.
Right.
Every one of them.
So we're bringing down the...
So, yeah. And I can guarantee you that no one in that community was enriching by selling their homes either. Right. But we're looking at the same type of thing in our community. They're building a number of houses in our community now, new houses along 105th Street. They call it Innovation Square,
Right.
which is good. I mean, there's nothing wrong with that. But the reality is, our neighbors aren't going to live there. It's going to be employees of IBM, perhaps the clinic as well, which is okay. I mean, they should have somewhere near their job that they can
Work
live.
close to. Mhm.
Right. But our community is getting smaller and smaller every day, every year.
Sort of pushed out, sort of.
Yeah. And
Now, I see that you have been part of the Buckeye Area Development Corps, so I'm feeling what you're saying is coming from all the years and investment that you put in. Even, talking to Cleveland Clinic or IBM about developing and coming hand in hand. But it seems like they have their own agenda, and then City Hall is with that agenda. And what I'm getting from you is that's what you want to change, make it more of a partnership.
right. Like I said, I have no problems with Cleveland Clinic per se. Well, actually, I do have one issue, but we'll talk about that later. But I just feel that we need to look at our core neighborhood and ways of strengthening our core neighborhood, not tearing it down, not making it available for sale through devaluation, but we should look at how to strengthen our neighborhoods. We have a lot of good people that live in our community, working people, retired people, young people, and we need to figure out how we can strengthen our neighborhoods. We should have be able to point to neighborhoods that we can be proud of. We need to be able to point to that. I mean, you look at those homes in Fairfax. We should be very proud homeowners. We shouldn't be feel like I don't want to live there because there's so much blight. So that's in part what I'm running on, helping to strengthen our community and make it a place where people want to live and raise their family.
Tell us how you're going to go about doing that.
Well, first of all, you think about why it's happening, which we've already talked about. Then we think about some of the methods that are used to help that continue to happen. First of all, if you as a young person wanted to buy one of these beautiful, majestic homes, you'd have an awful hard time doing it because banks aren't going to give you a loan to buy in that community. So that is one of the things that needs to change. And I'm actually, God bless you, I'm working on one of the Cleveland Housing Network's board, and that's something that we're addressing right now.
Okay.
How to get the banks to be more willing to loan in target areas, and one of those target areas is our community. So, you mean the bank already through Congress back in the late 70s through the Community Reinvestment Act has already said to the banks, where you do business, you need to invest in that community. But unfortunately, they gave the bank a way out. They told the banks, well, if it doesn't make good financial sense to you, you don't have to do it. Yeah. So, I mean, but we need to look at how we can package products where we can make the banks feel a little more comfortable in loaning money to people that want to come into our community or people that want to stay into the community.
And have a step program and how they can do that. And this is a side course, but I understand what you're saying. I had at work talked to, and I won't say they were young, but, they were, business owners, and they were ready to retire. And this is another state, North Carolina, and this how they got somehow caught up in an eminent domain kind of issue, and there's nothing I could have done to help them.
Right.
No program,
right. And
it was just hear her and hear his voice, like they were trapped, But at the same time, I hear what you're saying. The bank, Congress did give them a way out, and how do we get them to look and say, hey, there are people who want these homes in the community, and they're not, and then those wouldn't be that much, for instance, because the properties are being sold anyway by $5,000 to $10,000. So how do you do a step program and maybe build that into, helping those individuals?
Is this something that I know you're going to answer John's question, but I'm just curious, how do the people in the neighborhood feel about taking back their neighborhood? And
it's something that they
repairing
really
these homes.
they want that, but unfortunately,
They don't have the avenues.
Unfortunately, once a community is in a state of blight,
Yeah.
what do you have to go along with that? You have hopelessness.
Right.
And once a community feels hopeless, they feel they have no voice. And that's what I want to first begin to do, is to let the community understand and realize you do have a voice. And I'm going to be a very loud voice when it comes to taking back and revitalizing our community. It's important. It's important not just to me, it's important to every single member of that community, whether they realize it or not.
Right.
So one of the other things that begins to occur, which is already happening, a lot of young people, once they, let's say in their 20s, now they're ready to buy a home, they choose other neighborhoods or other cities even, because there's nowhere in the immediate area for them to shop. Not just groceries, but just all kind of stores. You figure a young couple together, maybe husband and wife, making $50,000 to $100,000 together. They want to live somewhere they can go to a clothing place or go somewhere to have a sit-down meal. Or there's so many things that young people cannot find in our community that they want, so they tend to go out. So we also need to look at strengthening our community by bringing some of these businesses not to our community, but back to our community. Because you're probably a little too young to remember, but we had those businesses in our community.
Actually, I grew. When I was born, my first years of life was in your community.
Okay, good. No wonder you turned out well.
Well, I wouldn't say that.
Thank you so much.
No,
Thank you.
he just
I made a
admitting.
misstatement.
Wait a
I made a
minute.
mistake.
John's just
Not a
admitting.
mistake. Not a misstatement. So, my parents, started. My mother was going to Case Western Reserve at the time. And so they were, and my wife is from the Fairfax Snake.
Okay.
So that's where she grew up.
Mm-hmm.
So I sort of I'm probably too young, but I do got an aspect from listening to my parents.
Right.
And to her, where she was a child, my wife, and how she always talked about how there were stores and, little small, I wouldn't say mom and pop, but what they will call in New York, boutique stores. Every store had a different thing.
Well, they had Sears back when
Right,
we were
we
going.
Yeah,
Right.
Sears and Roebuck
Yeah.
was on Euclid.
Yeah, I mean,
Euclid and Carnegie.
And
Carnegie,
Western
yeah.
Auto. You had Western Auto, and you had Giant Tigers,
we
and
had Kroger's.
Gaylords, and
Kroger.
stores
Yeah.
like that.
Right there.
Tawayne, I want to ask you a question.
Yes, ma'am.
And then we're getting ready to,
Because we're getting ready to wrap this
you're
up.
about to wrap up in 2 minutes.
What is it that would be most important if you had to move to live in that community? What would you want?
Well, to people to get more involved. There are a lot of people who live in certain areas who are not involved. They don't vote, they don't speak, they don't.
How do we get them to come out from those doors and get out here and speak?
Knock on doors, connect with them, and I'm not gonna say tell them everything they want to hear, but let them hear you. Let them see who you are.
Excellent. So here today, we're getting ready to wrap our show up. I want you to give our audience your number, because I'm quite sure you're open to do some shows for your comedy and your songwriting and modeling.
Yes, ma'am.
And being an actor.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Proud entertainer here, Cleveland-based. The name is Tawayne McGee. Contact me at 216-526-4285.
And
Mr. Sardon.
Mr. Sardon, tell the people what they should be doing come
Well, for
September
you.
12th.
Well, September 12th, they definitely need to be voting. They vote for me, because if you really want a true change in your community, vote for Gary Sardon. 216-791-7904 or Gary Sardon, 6ward.org.
Excellent. All right.
Goes out.
All
That's
right.
it.
It's been
Well,
a wonderful Sunday.
It
Two
sure
shows.
has 2
back to
shows.
back.
Yes.
Lady D.
All right. I want everybody to go and have a wonderful, blessed week. Remember, say hello, good morning, good night to someone, and tell someone that you haven't told in a long time that you love them, because it's important. Thank you for tuning in with our show today. What's going on with Sir John
And Lady D, I wish you all